Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Dimitri and this is Value Cars Australia. Some of you tell me, Dimitri, why do you always review only Chinese cars? Why don't you review other brands? They probably also offer you value for money, right? Right, you're right, my friend. And today I have visited lovely people at North Shore Honda here in Sydney, in Artarmon. And I had a look at two cars, which makes this a two-part video. Today is the part one, where I will talk to you about the beautiful new Honda ZR-V. Yes, the one that is being advertised on every TV channel imaginable. And I will tell you straight away that yes, I think that in my humble opinion, if you were to buy anything from Honda these days, ZR-V VTI-x bottom of the range model for about 40,000 Australian dollars at the end of 2023 is the one that you should go for. There you go. If you have problems with attention span and you are not interested to hear more details and special offers and other kind of stuff, well, you were given all the information you have right now. That is your TLDR, too long didn't read. So Honda ZR-V is obviously a new shape. It looks very much maybe like a family-orientated Subaru perhaps. It is not an SUV, even though it is rather rugged kind of looking. It's a little bit more lifted than a normal city car would be off the road. But it certainly is not an SUV. There is just no defending that, which automatically makes it maybe not my kind of car. But it doesn't mean that I can't appreciate it as a just a normal kind of reviewer and a normal sort of private user who thinks about what kind of car a good family sort of maybe 4 or 5 people who would like to drive around between cities and in the city, what kind of car would they benefit from other than an SUV perhaps, because we're very, very myopic on SUVs so far, aren't we? Just by the virtue of what I prefer. So I personally think that ZR-V is probably the first car and the first design that Honda really pushed it out there and made something really new over many of the recent years. Yes, they have uplifted HR-V shape and look as well, which is very beneficial, but that's for another video. But ZR-V is really a bold statement. They really filled in the niche in their lineup of vehicles for families. Yeah, so it's not Civic, it's not a speeder of sorts, but they filled in a niche between CR-V and between HR-V. So they put in this ZR-V thing in there. At least that's how I think the car sits in there. Inside, the car is very roomy. Again, it looks like one of those Impreza wagons, perhaps, of Subaru. I could be mistaken there on the, exactly on the model. And I looked at the pricing, we kind of smoothly will talk here about the pricing of Honda vehicles. I personally am with those people, majority of people who disagree with the new Honda pricing policy, where it's not subject to negotiation. They simply tell you, this is how much this car costs. Kinda alleging that saves you the effort and the time negotiating with different dealers around where you live, or you have to travel to another state to get the car cheap or whatever. So they kind of say, we save you that trouble by creating the model where the car prices are not negotiable. I disagree with that. I think it's awesome to think that you could go somewhere and they have some remaining stock and you might get a car couple of grand cheaper. Not having that possibility kills it a little bit for me personally, and for a lot of other people as well. However, what I'm going to give justice to here is that this kind of policy allows them to pretty much give you a price list straight up. They give you the price list, and I know that I can get right now, at the moment of recording of this video, I can get new Honda ZR-V bottom of the range model, because that fits roughly into my price bracket, for 40,200 Australian dollars. Another thing to point out that is helpful a little bit is that with pretty much every other brand that I reviewed, with pretty much every Chinese vehicle I bought recently and drove, when you buy the base color white, you get it for the price that's advertised. But if you want premium color, like my car, for example, metallic kind of gray, other colors are there, really awesome colors. Pretty much every other brand, Haval, MG, Cherry, they would charge you also a bit of that surcharge for the premium paint. Mind you, they might be negotiable a bit on it. Honda isn't. But if I had to give Honda a little bit of credit here that they deserve, all colors cost the same. Pick the color, you get the car for $40,200. Speaking of the electronics and speaking of the different safety features and electronic lane keep assist systems and other kind of stuff in Honda, it looks, so first of all, the sat nav is built in. They have a built-in sat nav there, which some of you would say is beneficial, because it means if you're just after some basic maps of the locale where you are, you don't have to connect your phone, you don't have to do anything. They have wireless Apple CarPlay, but they don't. Even in Honda, even in new ZR-V, they don't have wireless Android Auto. Don't ask me why. It's ridiculous. But this, my friends, is exactly where our sponsor comes in. This video is sponsored by Carplay Wireless CarPlay System. The link with a discount code of 15% to all of our community is in the description of this video. Why is it good and who is this system good for? I think that it's particularly good for older vehicles or cheaper vehicles of Chinese or any other origin, the ones that do not have a very good Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and especially those that don't have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. And if you look around, if you look at even at more expensive vehicles, if you look at any brand really, not many of them, funnily enough, in 2023 offer you wireless Android Auto. Majority of slightly more expensive cars offer you wireless Apple CarPlay, but they don't offer you wireless Android Auto. What's up with that? So, Carplay to the rescue. If you have extra real estate available and you don't mind extra additional screen, because that's the only consideration here. Can you be bothered having an extra screen here in your vicinity as a driver? And if you don't mind it, or if your current screen is not used and you want to just like overhang one over another, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to install it. Watch my other video for a full proper review of Carplay system. Then Carplay is exactly what you should look for. I genuinely believe that it is the most solid, best built system that I currently use, by the way, as well, that has a screen. Because if you are happy with your own screen, maybe some other wireless adapter will work better for you. Watch my other videos. But if you don't, and if you would like an extra screen, then Carplay is exactly for you. Don't miss out on 15% discount code if you use my link in the description of this video. And thank you for your support. At this bottom of the range VTI-X, you're getting a turbo petrol 1.5 liter engine with CVT transmission. It is a question of whether you like the CVT. I prefer CVT to, for example, the dual clutch any day of the week, even though my Haval H6 has probably the best dual clutch implementation that I personally tried. It's smooth. It's not MGHS DCT, which was horrible, which was jerky, which was just, I did not enjoy it one bit. Here it's much better. CVT is another story. You don't get immediate influx of power and immediate speed up, like whatever. It's kind of slow on the ramp up, slow on the ramp down. It's not a racing car, but for the city, it's all right. It does, after getting from my Haval H6 turbo petrol 2.0 liter engine and dual clutch transmission, it did feel a bit slower on speed up. And we did not go for a test drive on a highway. We only drove with the representative of the dealership. We only drove around the little streets here to kind of give me a bit of a kind of test of the car, I suppose. That's part of the reason why I'm commenting on the car after it's all done. So I can only tell you that the impressions are fresh and I drove the car, but I could not record in the car, as some of my other friends, friendly dealerships allow me to do with, say, Tank 300, with Haval, and so on and so forth. What else is there to say about Honda ZR-V? I think that generally it is a little sad to think that if you can get, say, a Haval vehicle or a Tank vehicle or something like this from still, it's a Chinese brand, it's not Honda. No one tries to pretend that it's the same quality or the same legacy as Honda. No, I'm not saying that. But at the same time, here you get so much more for your money. And we have to acknowledge it. I'm not going to hammer this down because it's pretty clear. but you get electric seat adjustments, you get frontal camera when you're parking, the camera comes on, you get 360-degree camera. Some of the models within the same price category of Chinese origin, they would have also sunroof, which is not a massive benefit, I know, but a lot of people love it, and so on and so on and so on. When you get into a Honda, even something as nice as ZR-V VTI-x, bottom of the range, you don't get leatherette seats. It's not leather seats, but the cover of the seats is nice enough. Yeah, you get some leatherette insets kind of panels here and there, which is also making it look not poverty, which is a great thing. Please keep that in mind, yeah, for the next video when we discuss HRV. But at the same time, it is still very basic. There is no electric seat adjustment. There is not forward, not upward. There is fortunately leatherette kind of stitching of the steering wheel, so it's not, again, it's not poverty VTI-x version model. I quite liked, again, Honda's very legacy, very kind of digital age, but still honoring the legacy and having very analog-like dash here and main instruments panel. It looks very simplistic and very analog, which reminded me of Toyota, by the way. But at the same time, it's all digital. It's all very minimalist. It's all very minimalist, I would say, for Honda, and that is not a negative. I think that's actually a benefit of it. I quite enjoyed. It's not quite as much storage space, I think, here for your phone and for everything else. Your perhaps excuse me, handbag if you have something to throw there if you're a lady, as it is, say, here in Haval, where you get a lot of shelving space here in the middle. In Honda ZR-V, you don't get just as much, but there is a bit. There is still a bit. I have to acknowledge that I think this central panel design and storage spaces and a little nook for your phone and stuff is quite well designed in Honda ZR-V. Was quite a fan. I did not sit at the back of Honda ZR-V, so you don't get that footage, but you would just have to take my word for it. It's not an SUV once again, so probably headroom is a little bit less than you would have here in Haval H6, let's say, for comparison, but there is plenty of space at the back. And the boot, I did open the boot, I didn't record it again, apologies. You get not a fully sized, but a size, or what is called size saver spare, so it's a smaller spare that you get in that car. But at the same time, the boot is massive. It appeared to be massive, not height-wise, but the depth-wise. You would just have to take my word for it and go to the dealership if I piqued your interest and take a look at it. It's really, really, really nice. On safety features, Honda is famous for safety features and for different other kind of stuff. So I will not list and I will not pretend to know the full list of every safety feature included, but Honda is packed with it, of course, with safety features. And one thing that I did very much like, so the representative of the dealership told me about that, is that safety features, other than the automatic braking in case the collision is detected from the front, other than that, so electronic lane keep assist systems, different lane departure warnings, all that kind of stuff, by default is turned off. How brilliant is that? Honda is awesome in that regard, because they think from the perspective of the customer. I would much rather turn them on if I need them, rather than be annoyed by them and then not be able to turn stuff off permanently. Haval, Cherry, primarily, I'm addressing you here. So that is awesome. So they keep on something that is absolutely a lifesaver, but they allow you to disable and to turn off stuff that is somewhat optional, I would say. And I would have turned it off and never thought about it ever again, because I like to be a responsible driver. I don't want to pretend to think that the car is doing the driving for me. And that's what those stupid electronic lane keep assist systems, Haval, GWM, I'm talking to you again here, that's what they are invading our information space and other cognitive space with, in my opinion. So what's my thinking process again overall? Look, for $40,200, the brand new Honda ZR-V VTI-x, I keep referring to this sheet so that I don't mess up the naming of the model, is value for money. I do think so. It's a car made in Japan. It's a car made by a car manufacturer that lost a lot of momentum in Australia, but not because their cars are bad, but because their marketing sucks, yeah? And this non-negotiable pricing model sucks, yeah? So let's call it for that. But ZR-V looks fantastic, drives reasonably well. It didn't blow me away with the driving capabilities. It's not a racing car, it's not a powerhouse, but I think for a family that wants a car for next 10 years and not have massive problems with it, or not have to change their brake pads after 20,000 kilometers, watch my video about MG ZST. MG, that's embarrassing, by the way, if any of you are watching. It's a good choice. It's a lot of car for $40,000. Let's not forget that I got a lot of car for my money, but it's a Chinese car, right? Which, again, I'm just calling it for what it is. I drive it and I'm happy with it. I think it's a good choice. But it's a Chinese car. It's not a Japanese car. And I bought it with all of this, which is a bit more than ZR-V will give you. It's a bit more. Let's acknowledge that too. But it's not much more. It's comparable-ish. And I bought this for close to $38,000. Here you're getting a brand new Japanese car for 40. Come on, you gotta agree with me. And I'm being fair here. As much as I like my GWMs, as much as we are still somewhat happy with MG ZST, which probably is due for a change after the experience with the brakes and stuff like that. Story for another time. But I do think that I have to give Honda credit where it's due, and think that for 40 grand to get a brand new, lovely looking, good looking inside as well, a little bit more, like a little more modest on the features and on the conveniences of life, such as electric seat adjustments and other kind of stuff that you don't get there. But I think it is value for money. I do think it's value for money. Now your turn is to let me know what you think, as always. Let me know in the comments down below. First of all, are you one of those people who ordered Honda ZR-V? Because I reckon, even though Honda hasn't sold all that much in Australia, it has had horrible years for sales, from what I know, high-level information, right? Not detailed. I'm being told that ZR-V is right now entering the market in force. They are getting a lot of orders. They even have supply of the cars, at least in North Shore Honda. So you might want to rush there and pay them a visit if you want one tomorrow, right? Don't forget to like the video and say thanks, Dimitri, if I convinced you on this. Stay tuned for the next part of this. The parts of this video review from one single visit to Honda are connected. I think that after you have seen the second video where I'll talk about Honda HR-V, and I'll try to be as fair as I can be about it, you will even more so understand why I said specifically this. Honda ZR-V, even in the bottom range model, VTI-x for $40,200, is value for money. You're getting a lot of car for that kind of price tag. Stay tuned for the next video. It's going to be interesting regardless. Like my video, this one, and subscribe to the channel for more. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.